Hello, hello. This is live, and this is us here in Victoria, BC, Canada, making some seafood chowder tonight. Alrighty. So this is a family favorite. It is quite easy to make because ultimately what we're doing is we are using salmon fillets that I get at Costco, Wild Pacific salmon burgers, and I'm putting those in the oven, cooking those up. Then we're going to add them to our chowder. I've also got some lovely shrimp, and it's just one of those days for BC food. And tonight I'm going to share with you a little bit. I'll just put this down here so you can see what I'm chopping away. Let's make sure that that's set for you. I'm using fresh onions today because they were on sale and I grabbed some sweet onions. Otherwise, I'd be using my Thrive Life freeze-dried onions. All right. I'm clearly no chef here, but there we go. In my pot over here, I'll just bring you to what's happening. In my pot, I'm going to heat up this butter. I put in a half a cup of butter for our chowder. We're going to make a nice roux for the chowder, and then we're going to add our shrimp, get them steaming in there with the butter and sweating with some garlic. Then we'll add some celery, and I'm going to be using Thrive celery. Thrive is freeze-dried food that you can find on our website. We're also going to be using Thrive corn tonight and potatoes. All the chopping you're going to see me do is those onions you just watched, and then celery. All right. And then for seasoning, salt, pepper, fresh dill would be my preference. I don't have any fresh dill, so we'll be using some dried dill for tonight. You can put peas in this, carrots, all sorts of goodness. So yeah, with that, here we go. Just put that back here. Get these cans opened. So this is our sweet corn. I'm just going to move my onions while the butter is melting. This is our sweet corn. My husband likes to eat this right out of the can because it's so sweet. He puts it in his trail mix and just grabs a Ziploc of that when he wants a crunchy snack for work. He works on the road, so he needs something he can grab easily. So here's our corn. Freeze-dried. Lovely. The reason they call it sweet corn is because it is sweet. I'm going to use a different can opener now because that was almost challenging. And that is my daughter in the background. And now diced potatoes. You know, potatoes is one thing I do not like dicing because I'm not a chef. I'm just a mom cooking for her family as quickly as possible after she got off work. So there we go. Here's our diced potatoes. And then the celery we've got going on. About to pull the salmon out of the oven. Our butter is just about melted. We've got some nice, lovely prawns here. Deveined and the tails off so we can put those right into our soup. Typically, I try to do that near the end of the cooking so that they don't become too rubbery and they're just a nice layer. If I did have some carrots, oh, I think I do have some carrots actually. We'd add those in. Add some carrots. I guess you will see me chopping something more than onions tonight because I do have some jumbo carrots. So just adding those onions and some garlic. I just got my new Epicure peeler here for my friend's party. If I'm going to have carrots, I want to have big carrots. And these are lovely, big Japanese carrots to work with. There we go. I'm going to put this down here so you can see why I'm biting my fingers. My lips, I should say. I'm not biting my fingers. Now, they always go like this, right? So you don't cut your fingers off. I'm going to add this right into the pot because the carrots are certainly fresh, so they're going to need to heat faster than the rest of the vegetables we're using today. Alrighty. Now, tip for keeping your flavor in your soup. Add your dill near the end so all the goodness doesn't come off. That is one tip that I really like. Now, my husband has used almost all my garlic. So I use the Thrive freeze-dried garlic. I find it just so lovely, all diced, ready to go into our soup. So now that the butter's here, I'm going to add a good amount of garlic. Bring you over here so you can see what's happening here. Alrighty. You see that? So get all these flavors coming together. Do that. I'm going to even put a little more garlic. Now I'm going to take out of my toaster oven the salmon, which we're going to prepare to put right into that soup. Now to get a nice, not too thick, like everybody has their preference for chowders. I like my chowder to definitely have some fresh cream in it, but not too much. So we use a chicken broth with that. Okay. I'm going to come back over here and prepare our salmon. Now, it should be mostly, if not all, cooked through because it will still cook in the pot a little. You can decide how you want to do it. I just chunk it up. So I've got nice chunks of salmon in it. There's other times I flaked it all up. So I'm just cutting it, almost dicing it. When you cook it like this and grill it, it gives you the opportunity to have it not fall apart as much as it would if you would have done it from a raw state. All right, so that's what we're doing there. Check on our carrots. I'm going to now add my celery. I literally cook by the throw, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that here. I'm going to put in about that much celery, just again for flavor. Okay. And then we've got our prawns ready to go. Grab something and we'll be right back. On the shelf. All right. I'm going to use this dish for my salmon. This is Carlos Cabrera, the one and only. We're live on YouTube tonight.
YouTube?
Yeah. Imagine.
That's nice. In YouTube, did you have...
This is a Zoom.
Uh-huh.
So you can join me on Zoom if you want, and then it'll go on YouTube.
Oh. So in Zoom and YouTube.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Fancy.
So there's our salmon, all diced up, right? Carlos has to try it. It's all I could do not to. A little sneak.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good, right?
Yeah.
And look at these lovely prawns we're putting in.
Really good.
Deveined.
Mm.
All right. So prawns last. What I'm doing here, as you can see, I put the celery in just to get all that flavor in it before I add the broth. And we're just doing straight up chicken broth. I'm going to show you my trick so that you don't have to make a roux before you make this soup, and how it just comes together so nicely. So 2 cartons of broth, because this family eats this soup like crazy. So we're making a large pot of it. So one of the flavors I add is Chef's Choice by Thrive. It's got a really good mix of the peppers and fresh, well, freeze-dried greens. And then finally at the end, I'll add my dill. So I'm just going to get this going. I'm going to let that get to a simmer. Then I will add our prawns. So how many of you have tried Thrive Foods? I originally bought this because I wanted to be able to use it for my food storage. Then I had a baby and needed to make food faster, get it on the table as quickly as possible, and that changed everything. Now it's a staple in our life. We're getting everything going a little faster. So I'm going to put those, I'm going to show you here. We're going to do our cream and bechamel sauce. That is the little piece of magic. Thrive has made a nice white sauce. You can make it from scratch by adding it in to whatever it is you're cooking. Whisk it slowly. I'm going to put a cup of that into our soup tonight. Do 2 half cups because that's. So I'm going to put that right in here, and I'll show you as I whisk that in. 2 different kinds of whisks here. I really, when I'm making a looser whisk, now if you have all day to make a nice chowder, then you can do this differently. When you're getting off work at 4:30, today was 4:45, and you're trying to pull it together, you need to do it as quickly as possible. We want to do it lightly so that we don't have any lumps in our soup, okay? I don't want to have to bring in the hand blender and mix this up. All right, there we go. Now I did send Carlos out on a mission for fresh dill today, but unfortunately he wasn't able, he came home empty-handed. So we are going to be using the dill I have on hand. Of course, I wish I had the good stuff. We're going to put some more in at the end, but I'm just going to put a good amount of dill in now. I would say that's like 2 tablespoons of dill. For me, dill makes my chowder. Just the difference between a good chowder and a not good chowder for me. Now we're going to put in our cream, our heavy cream. This is a full-on heavy cream. Now, to not add all that extra water, we're going to do our prawns over here, and then we'll add our prawns in at the perfection right before the soup is done. You'll see how this just thickens to the perfect consistency. I'm going to put another pad, small pad of butter there for our prawns. We're going to add a cup of corn to our soup. And then we're going to add our potatoes as well. 2 cups of potatoes. We'll see how that does us. The potatoes will also help to thicken that base. I think I'm going to do 3 cups of potatoes and another cup of corn.
Come on,
Perfect. That would be the daughter in the background. And I'm going to take a look at this for color. And if we need to, we're going to do peas. Now, my daughter doesn't love peas, but peas also are a nice addition to any corn. Corn, seafood chowder. You want to get all of this vegetable refreshing by covering it with the liquid. And then once it starts to boil, that will be just perfect state. All right. She's playing with Yenna. So we're going to do some prawns. Do you want to cook up the prawns? I'm okay. Now, I did not thaw those. No, I've added butter because they're frozen. I don't want to add any more liquid. Oh. It's a little too frozen. Ideally, you would have had time to thaw out your prawns, but some of us are more organized than others. There we go. Oh, a little bounce of butter there. Okay, so this bechamel sauce will do its magic. And we're getting close, guys. We're getting close. I'm going to take out the last dill to add for later. We're going to put another 2 tablespoons of dill in here. I was trying to make a really thick bechamel or soup. I would have probably, in the amount of liquid I have here, put 2 cups of the bechamel sauce, but I'm not. That is not my goal. There we go. Again, we just want to get these prawns to orange state. They don't need to be fully cooked through because we're going to put them in the soup. And by that point, I'm hoping the soup will be at a rapid boil. We'll throw everything in together. All of our vegetables will be refreshed at that point. And likely just leave it boiling for a few minutes to bring those flavors together. Remember to flip your prawns. This is an area I always, if you don't flip them, I find they get really rubbery, and it's just such a waste when you have rubbery prawns. You want them to be fresh tasting. So I'm almost ready to shut the burner off now on these because they're pretty much done. So this is one of our family favorites. What are your family favorites? See, you can see those prawns. They're nice orange color now, so I'm going to shut that off. It's still going to be warm underneath, but the burner will be off. I might have splattered myself with the hot prawn. What other things do you add into your chowders? So I'm going to put this salmon into the chowder, introduce it in, because it's ready to go, and we want that flavor to come right as it's starting to get to the boil. That's going to be lovely. You know, it was funny, last night I was dreaming about this and I was thinking, what about smoked oysters in chowder? I've never heard of that, but I bet you it would be good. All right, now that we're almost boiled off the water, we're going to add these in with the garlic that I've got here. I was just worried the smoked oysters would introduce a flavor that was undesirable, because clams certainly have a seafood flavor, but they don't have quite as pungent of a flavor and a bitterness like the oyster does. All right, I think the prawns are ready to go. You can make these smaller if you want to. I think for the sake of tonight, I actually might chop them up so that they go a little further. So I'm going to do that here while you let me know how that soup's going. I'm just cutting these in half so they still resemble prawns for picky eaters, but so they fit in a spoon. Okay. That's just, again, one package of prawns. I think the size, I'll let you know the size that I used on those. And then we have a few. Oh, look, we're right at a rapid boil, and we're going to add in all of this flavor from our prawns. I always use tail free, so I can do this process quite easily. You can see that thickening up nicely. We're going to have seafood chowder in approximately a half an hour of cooking time. brilliant. Now, when I used to make it prior to my introduction of Thrive, it would take a lot longer. I'm now bringing that from high right down to low, and I'm going to add in my dill. And I'm going to use I'm really making a mess of I'm going to use my whisk to bring that dill in. Now, I don't salt in the beginning because of the seafood. I like to get a sense of how much salt is needed, and then I salt to taste. So you can see that that's a perfect thickness for a chowder, in my humble opinion. I'm just gonna have a taste of this broth. I can taste the sweetness of the corn, the salmon. I don't need much salt in this now, so I'm just going to do it by the hand here. And I would say 1.5 teaspoons for that big pot. You can see that's the thickness I like my chowder. Too thick, it just really doesn't sit as well. All right, so that is it from Thrive Life and Casa Cabrera Cooking tonight on how to make, a simple seafood chowder. Think about the work I saved myself not deboning the salmon, having I can tell you the size of the prawns. I'm using Western Family raw white large prawns, 31 to 40 size per bag, and cream, like just like that. No chopping of the celery, no worry about the corn. I could add peas if I wanted to, but not going to, and no dicing of potatoes. So join us again. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye for now.